Hi folks, in this tutorial we're going to go through the setup of a subdomain and then also of the WordPress platform to show you how it's done and then to enable you to talk about this in your assignment and to know the process of what we're doing. So we're starting straight off at a platform called cPanel, which we use for web hosting administration. If I click back just onto the home page, you can see there's a whole list of different things that we can do. If you're the admin account like I am on this, you can see you can really control so much in terms of the website administration, IT administration, and we're only going to be touching on two things in this tutorial. And so the first one is the subdomain. Now you can see here I'm using a site that I own and run, and so I've created a lot of subdomains for you already, and as you can see it's just your first name and surname. I'm just going to show you how we create this. So quite simply, in the subdomain box, just going to type in my name, and as you can see that in the document root it will show us what the address is. So as you can see here, these are links. So if we click on those, they'll take you to the WordPress site that's already set up. So we click on create. It'll load through and that's it, created. And you will see just down here on the next page there, mjohnson.schoolofcomputing.co.uk, and that gives us the link there as well. So there's nothing there at the minute, so it's taking us through to the file manager platform for that. But that's our subdomain created. So we'll move into a program called Softaculous, which is a series of scripts. Really, it installs again a lot of different platforms that you may have heard of, you may not have heard of, but we're going to be working with WordPress. So we're going to just click install. We're going to go through the process. You're going to see what I'm doing, so that this will be exactly the same what I'm doing for my subdomain as it was for yours. So what I'm talking about, you'll be able to talk about as well, just making it applicable to your own subdomain. So we click on this drop-down menu, and as you can see, we have all our subdomains. Mine should be there, yeah. So I'm just going to select this, and I'm going to delete the WP directory, and you're going to see why that's important in a couple of minutes. We're looking at the version of Windows, so it's the most recent version. We're not going to touch that. We're going to change the site name. We'll leave the site description as it is, and we're going to change the username. The WordPress as default sets the admin username as admin, which is very insecure because it means that anyone trying to hack into the platform can guess that the admin username is admin. So it's an easier username to guess and to then start trying to work on cracking the password. Now I'm setting this as a simple password. Everyone's password has been set to this, and I'll show you how to change that in due course. It's strong enough at the minute, but we can make it better. I've not set anything else in terms of the WordPress setup. So I haven't selected any plugins here for you. I haven't selected auto upgrade, and I'll come back to that, and the automated backups. We'll come back to that also in the plugin section, but that's basically so that you can enable those yourself and then take screenshots and talk about why those things are important from a security point of view. I haven't selected any themes, so all we're going to do is just click install, and as you see, this should happen really quickly if we've no problems. There we go. So that's it installed. That's the site, the platform setup. As you can see, the address is here. So if we've got a new tab. Sorry, this is what yours will look like as well. So it's the basic theme. There's nothing there. It's just a basic page. This is the site, the address that you will need to remember. Again, it's exactly the same. Your name, first name and surname .schoolofcomputing.co.uk/wp-admin, and that is the important one that we want to remember, because that's where we're going to go now, and we're going to want to log in. Now it's logged me in automatically, but if you remember, if we go back to management, we should see here, yes. Tell us, I can't remember. I think my username, the admin username was M Johnston, and the password was password 2021. So if we log out, sorry. This is the screen you'll see. So if we, so normally when you're not logged in, the WP, nothing's here. Sorry. There we go. So we go to WP-admin. That brings us to here. 2021. Log in, and this is, I'm going to ignore that. This is the WordPress dashboard. So we've created our subdomain, we've installed WordPress, and we're going to go in and check our settings because there's a few things that we want to change. So just working down here, we can work through these just as we go, and I'll explain what needs to be changed, what doesn't need to be changed, and you can set this up as you go. Site title, you're going to change at some point to the name of your company. We're going to be designing a logo for that company, and you're going to be changing it to that. And then you're also going to be changing the tagline, but they can stay as they are at the minute. The administration email address you're going to leave completely alone. Okay, so, I can access the cPanel and change things if things get broke, or we can wipe everything and start again. But just leave that as it is. Okay, membership, you want anyone to click this, anyone can register. Remember, we're building a site for people to come on to apply for jobs, so we want them to be able to register, and we want to keep the default role a subscriber. The others give a higher level of ability to change things and do things on the site, but we just want the simple subscriber. We don't want them to contribute, we don't want them to edit, we don't want them to certainly administrate or change anything on the site. Site language, we're going to change just very quickly to English UK. So a very quick setting. Time zone then also, you can scroll up just through the list, select London or Dublin, whichever you want, the same time zone. That just gets us into the correct time zone. Date format then, it's up to you how you want to set. I would tend to go for day, month, year, as that's how we work it. It makes it nice and straightforward. Time format, you can have whichever you want. We'll change to start on Sundays. On each screen, you need to click through to save the changes. Otherwise, whatever we have changed won't move. Writing settings then, we don't really want to change anything because we're not really going to do this post via email. We're not going to do that. We're always going to be logged into the WordPress platform to make any changes. So we don't need to do anything there. Reading then, we're going to come back to because we need to set up a few little pages here, and we'll do that now just so to make that make sense. So WordPress works really simply in terms of website management. It's really here to sort of save time. So in terms of adding new pages, instead of having to code them all, we can do this. Now this sets it up. It's not the platform. Isn't exactly how I wanted to set up, but we'll go with it anyway. Sorry, I'm used to working in this, so this new part, oh yeah, code editor, no. Doesn't matter, we'll work with it. So we want to call this home. Publish, yes. Really don't like working with this, so I really want to change it because it makes it does look a little bit easier. And you can see exactly what we are doing. I know what I've done. Okay, we'll call this, we'll just go with this anyway, folks, and we'll make the best of it. Whether you use this or not doesn't really matter. We're going to end up with the same types of pages. So we'll add in the pages that we want to do with home news. And as you can see, I'm not putting anything to these pages. We're going to do that later, but we're setting up the site and making it ready for other things. And then really we're setting up the site with the design coming at the very end. So we have our About Us. And the last page I'm going to add is, that's going to be the main thrust of the page that we're creating. And in terms of the job advertisements, so that's where that's coming. So you can see very quickly I've got a couple of pages there. Sub page we're going to delete completely. If you find that you are deleting pages for whatever reason, it really doesn't matter which. In the WordPress platform, because it's database driven, when you delete the page, you also have to delete it permanently. Because if let's say we mocked up the home page, we just thought, you know what, we'll start again, and we delete the home page, the database will still have recorded that page as being the home page. And in terms of the name, so we wouldn't be able to create a new page called home, we would have to call it something else. So deleting the page completely just allows us to use that URL address, which you can't see because I'm working off a different version. At any rate, we've got our pages created. We're going to jump back to our reading settings, and this is where we can see this in another section as well, and I'll show you that in the other section shortly. But this is where we can set up where certain things are going to happen. So there we go. So I've just refreshed the page, and you can see all the pages are coming in now. So what we're telling the platform here is the home page is going to be home, and then our posts or our blog page, our news page is going to be our news page. So we can select those, and that sets that up straight away as to direct certain pages. So we've saved that, and we can move on. Discussion, we don't need to change anything because this is really just to do with when people post on the site, and we're not really going to have that as such, so we can just ignore that. Media, we can ignore as well, just leave those are for image sizes, we just leave them as they are. Permalinks, then you can change this. For SEO purposes, the best one to choose is post name. There's not much difference between day and name except obviously the date, but in terms of SEO structure, this post name is the best one to go with. So choose that and save that. Privacy then, this is important for the assignment in terms of how your company will deal with people's information, everything with GDPR, and lots of companies will have privacy policies, and we have talked about this in class, but this does, I think, set it up straight off. If we go, I know this was here, so this one, yeah, so this is already set up, so we don't need to add anything further to this. So we don't need to create, and this is already selected the privacy policy page as our privacy policy page. So what we then have is just different things you can change or edit or amend the content here as appropriate. So we don't need to do anything else there. So we're just going to leave that page as it is. Next on the dashboard, we've checked our settings. We're going to look at installing the theme. So to do that, we are going to go to Appearance, and we're working with themes. Now, there are 3 themes that are loaded in as part of the WordPress platform, and these are imaginatively called 2019, 2020, 21. They basically give you these themes as the basic one that is installed with all of them. We're going to add a new theme, and you're going to have maybe found your own theme as well. This is one that I found earlier, so I'm just going to search for it, and I'm going to click install. And that's it, install. We're going to, and then yes, activate as well. So with a lot of things in WordPress, you have to install it and then activate it to make it active. What we want to do straight away then is just to click through on each of these themes, bar one, and we want to delete the themes. So you just click on it. As you can see, what I'm doing, just clicking delete, and we're removing it. You really only want to have 2 themes at maximum on your WordPress platform. The first one is the one that you're using, so that's our bright theme, and the second one, which I've left 2019, is as a backup. If something happens that your chosen theme doesn't work, you've something to fall back on. The reason we don't have any more is simply security. If it's a means to get in to hack your site, then it's a security risk, and so by removing it, we will also remove those risks. Remember that I did say in class that WordPress powers over 50% of the web, so it is an attractive target for hackers. So by removing those themes, you also remove any potential weaknesses. So that's the reason for that. Next up, just going through my list. So we've created our subdomain, we've installed WordPress, we've checked our settings, we have installed the theme, which is my bright theme. Yours can be anything else. We've created the pages, and we're going to go to customize the appearance, which is here. And this is where, remember I said earlier, we would see a duplication here. So in the, not the site identity, not the menus, the homepage settings. Here we have the same as what we had in our settings area. We've already selected that our homepage will display a static page, and we've selected that the homepage is the homepage, and the posts page is where the news is going to go. And so we don't have to change anything there. What we are going to do though is we're going to change the menu. So to do that, I'm going to try and just keep things as neat and tidy as possible. So go to appearance, and we're going to click on menus. Now we've already created our pages, so we're going to create our menu. We'll view all, so we want all our pages available. I'm going to select add to menu, and that will add them there. Next thing we're going to do is just reorder them to put them into the order that we want them to appear on the site. I'm going to leave home where it is, move about us to the second page, and then move contact us down. So that's the order that I'm going to work with. What we can also do, just to show you how the menu can work very simply, is we can then also indent the news. So that would actually become part of a drop-down menu for the About Us page, but we're going to keep it all top line, and then we're going to click Save. That's now saved. And if we hit F5 and refresh, it's not in the right order, but for some reason that there we go. So we hadn't selected the menu location. So we selected the correct menu location, and so you can see now it's exactly as it is here. We can click publish, and that's it, sorted. Now, clicking on those, there's nothing on those pages whatsoever because we haven't done anything, but we've got much more of our site set up already within these 10 minutes, however long we've been talking so far. So we've customized the appearance. Okay, we're going to go to the plugins, and this is going to be kind of the last section that I want to look at the minute, because this is where this is as far as we've got. Now, hopefully you have researched a lot of the plugins. There are tons of pages that are tons of web pages that will give you, the 7 best plugins that you need for your site, 32 best plugins for 2022, so on, so on. I'm going to show you some quick plugins that I use and that I'm recommending that you use, and I'll explain why as we go through it. First one is this is the classic editor, which is what I was looking for earlier. So I'm going to install that, and as you can see, I'm going to activate it. And then it brings us to this page. Now, this is our plugin list page, and because I'm here right now, this will show us the list of all our active and deactivated apps. But the one that you want to get rid of straight off is Hello Dolly, which comes pre-packaged with WordPress for some reason. You can see what it says. It doesn't do anything, but it produces a lyric from Hello Dolly, which I think is a TV show, can't remember. But no, it's a song, so we don't need it. Okay, I've never used it, I've never entertained it, so just delete it. And again, part of the security element of our site, we're removing things that we don't need. The other thing that I want to draw your attention to take care of is enabling the auto updates, which I purposely did not enable on installation, and that was because I want you to be able to show that you're doing it, you know why you're doing it, and you know how to do it, which is nothing more than just clicking the link. But you'll be able to talk about this in your assignment about how this makes your site more secure. So as soon as Akismet update their plugin, it's pushed here and it's automatically updated, and you can then get an email notification to say that something has been carried out on the website. What I want to go back to show you just very quickly is how the classic editor works, because that is where I've learned how to do things. So this is it. Okay, it's not very imaginative or fun, but when you learn how to do something, you kind of get familiar with it, and so working with a new aspect can be a wee bit trickier and a wee bit slower because it's new. You may find working that way works for you. It's absolutely fine. I'm going to come back here later to show you how some of the drag and drop things work to build in your site. So we've got the classic editor. We're going to go back and add new. So next up is an app called Yoast, which is spelled like toast but with a Y, and it looks like this. Okay, and this is your SEO, your search engine optimization plugin, and that's a very important one that I use and is very helpful. So we'll just click install and activate. We'll go through settings just very quickly. It's pretty straightforward. You can just go through the configuration workout, and that just sets everything up. Okay, so there are premium, with a lot of these, there are premium elements that you've got to pay for. We're not going to worry about those. You can get enough done through the first configuration, as you can see. So you can go through different things. I'm not going to do it here because you can see it does take a little bit of time, but that is the Yoast SEO plugin that I would recommend to you. So back to plugin page. Second one is called Updraft. That's part of the name, but you'll see it come up. Updraft plus WordPress backup plugin, and that's basically what it is. It's a backup plugin, so you can set it up to back up your site. So it means that if anything happens, you have a backup. And we'll just click activate, and again, it'll take you through everything. So you can just click back up now. Then you can say, in terms of the settings, how often do you want the backup to be taken, and how many backups should there be retained. Okay, I would say I think mine's set up to weekly, and then also here weekly. So that's that. You don't need remote storage. Sorry, you don't need to pay for remote storage, but you can set it up to OneDrive, which we have through school, or Google Drive, or you can do it by email to your email. So if you have it there, it's entirely up to you. But you can go through that again. That sets it up, and the whole thing again, and for your assignment, is that by having a active and scheduled backup program, we're minimizing the risk to the site in case anything happens to it that we need to restore to an earlier version. Next up, we have leave, it doesn't matter. Optimal, and this app is important. It optimizes images, and it uses a thing called lazy load, which speeds up your website. So if you have a number of images on a page, historically and normally the web browser would load up the whole page and give you the whole page when it's all loaded. Okay, but if you have 10, 15 or a number of images, that they're all going to add up in terms of size and in terms of size of the web page, and that will slow down the time for it to load. Lazy load works a different way. It will load up part of the page. So if you have, say, 5 images, it will load up whatever you see first. So that will be the logo, the navigation, the background image. If we just jump to here, I think we have, yeah. So we have this. Now this is all. There's actually nothing there, but you can see the background image. If there was more here, it would load up as I scroll down. So that's where the lazy load is coming in. It's loading lazily as it's required. So that sort of explains what it does and why it does that. And it's, I think just with this, yeah, you can change this address and you get the API key, and it's free from what I recall. Yeah, free. We're not going to hit 5,000 visitors per month, so there's no issue there. But that's what it does, and so it is important in terms of it filters into your SEO as far as your web page load time works, and also for your analytics, because the quicker your page loads, the happier your customers will be, the more inclined they'll be to stay because it loads up quicker. Not too many to go. Next one is called Jetpack. Actually, because of these two here. Okay, Jetpack. Just click install. It does a lot for WordPress security and for analytics. So we'll just activate that. I'm not going to set it up because I've set it up on other sites and it takes a wee bit of time. But again, it's straightforward. There's a free option. So again, just stick with it, and then we will go back to Kismet, which works to protect you from spam, which does work. So again, you can set that up. That's the next one. Up next, I don't think, BuddyPress is one that's here, and I haven't highlighted it in my notes, but it is important because that's the one I was talking about in terms of community building. So to have people, to have clients and visitors to the site being able to log in, create accounts, and you can build in a community, around people wanting to apply for jobs in the company. So we'll just click install and activate. From memory, I think there's a bit of work in this. I haven't worked with it an awful lot, but it is much better. Let's just close that. It is one of the more famous and much more recognized plugins for community building. Next up, we have WordPress. And what this does is it's a similar end of things to the lazy load. But what it does is it creates a cache or a snapshot of your website, and it makes it quicker to load. Okay, it converts them into HTML files, and so it makes them easier to load. which increases your speed. What is that warning for? Okay, we can dismiss that. Okay. So that one's next. That one was there. Next up, we have XML. No, just by Google. So, the sitemap is for Google. Okay, Google search. Obviously, search and control the web and index the web. And so this is what we want to create. We want to create a sitemap of our website to make it easier to be found. Okay, which I appreciate. Again, this isn't going live in the real sense of the word, but being able to go through these processes and talk about these things in your assignment will really show, in terms of the mark scheme, you know exactly what you're talking about, how it works, why you need it, and so on. Screenshots as well are obviously going to help in terms of you having done the work, proving that you've done the work, and knowing what you're talking about. Okay, so the next one, this is where I'm going to show you this one, but I may also show you, why is it? There we go, drag dropper. So this is the visual page builder, and I have another. I'm going to show you what I tried to show you in class, because the screen didn't really want to work. So I'm just working off two screens at the minute. I want to get to the right, the right page, just to show you what it looks like. Okay, so here we have the version that I use. It's, I can't remember what it's called. It's part of the theme that I use, and it is something in ceiling. Yes, WP Bakery Page Builder. So if you look that up online, it costs something like $50 to buy, but it's come as part of the theme that I use. So this is it here. Okay, so what we have is basically these boxes, dotted boxes at the bottom, which we then click on, and the first thing that you always create is a new row, and so that's a new section in the site. And preview, so I'll leave that in the background. What it allows us to do is, instead of having to write code, which would look a bit like this, okay, and not even like that, because that's not the proper. There. So that's us into HTML, which can get very complicated. We want to keep within the visual. So the drag and drop really just makes life so much easier. So we've got a new row and some new content. So we're going to have a custom heading, and we can change that here. And there are lots of different settings. The only one that we really need to worry about in this one is using the theme default font family, which is the font family for the site. So I need to make sure that that's ticked in, and then we can add in, really after that, whatever we want. So we can have a single image. So we can add that in from our media library. I'm jumping through this fairly quickly because I'm just showing you how it works and on how quick it can be. So we'll leave that. So animation type can be triggered on entrance. So in this, we can also kind of factor in a bit of a lazy load in this in terms of the delay. In terms of margin, then we can put in percentage at the top. You'll see how this works in a second. So let's save the draft, and this is the preview so far. Now you'll see there's no image at the bottom, but when we hit refresh, there's our test heading, and that is where the 2% works in, but we can change that as we want, and that can then, it just spaces out our, makes our layout a bit nicer to work with. So I'm turning up to 80% and we'll pronounce it, maybe a little bit more pronounced, so you can see just how easy this really works for me and why I use it. So there you can see the cap there straight off, and it just makes our layout that wee bit easier to look at, nicer, and spaces things out a wee bit more. But like I've kind of shown here, there is so much that I genuinely don't use that much of, because of the nature of the sites that I'm kind of building. You can get into pricing tables, you can have different, you can have pie chart. There's lots of sort of functions and features that they can kind of split into, and really work with a lot of different elements, and really make your site very unique and very individual, despite working off a theme which a lot of people will use. The other thing I tried to show you here was that you can split the layout. So we could have half and half. So we'll split it this one. So we'll split this here. Move the image across, and we'll just save the draft and refresh our preview. That they go into 2 columns, so it gives you a lot more control over the layout. You can move it to into thirds, 2/3, 1/3. You can also then reverse these, because it's all it's, I think from memory you can maybe, yes, there you go. So you could work with 1/3 and 2/3, or drag that back across 2/3 and 1/3. So it just gives you that much greater control over the layout of the page and how you want the page to look. And like I said, I use it because I don't want to sit and code all evening. I want to create a page pretty quickly. What we'll do is add new and just show you on this with no content. So this is our normal page. So we can add, well, first of all, we can add templates. That's a blog template that I've built myself. So if we click on it, it puts this in automatically. So where I was saying about having a template built for your job advertisement, you can build this once, save it, and then every time you want to add a new job, then this is what you would click. And as you can see, this will work no matter how many times we want it. There are different built, sort of pre-built templates which may not work, depending on maybe another page. So you can have the about section. So if I don't think that'll work because I haven't given a title. Yeah, so you can see that image didn't load in automatically. Okay, that came in a little bit later, so that you can see how that lazy load works in practice. But this is something that you could work into your about page. But you can see very quickly, just with a few clicks, how you can make a pretty good looking site and get it up and running. To make this available to you, I'm going to have to play with it myself just to get the files isolated from where I have them, and then install them on. If I go back to my subdomain, go back here and see if I can install it and see if it works. And if it works, then great, you can use it, because it does work quite straightforward. But if we look at refreshing this, yeah, so edit with drag dropper. I haven't used this, but it is similar. Tokens, right? Yes. yeah, we'll leave that and move on. So there's one or two more plugins that I want to highlight to you, and we'll install these, and then we will call time there, because once you have the plugins, we're kind of getting a lot of that set up in the background as to how the site's going to work, and then we can design it, because everything will work the way we want it. Limit logins is one that is offered in the script, in the Softaculous script. I don't think it's going to be here, but it is a useful one, because it basically limits how many times a person can try to log into your site. So you can see the obvious security benefit there, that if someone's found your admin login page, they're going to try your password and try your password, unless you have something like this activated, which says after 3, 4, 5 attempts, we're going to lock you out. So you can see the benefit of that and adding to your security. Next up, we have a plugin that I use called Securi, and it's another security app. So you can see a lot of this is building security into the platform, because where so many people use WordPress, a lot of people will then want to hack into it. So then these plugins then exist to make it more secure, and so you can go through it. It's a good plugin that I use. It's never let me down. I've never had any issues with it. It's pretty straightforward, but that's a good one to use. Next up, we have a plugin called Smush, which looks like so. And what this does is it's another sort of optimization plugin, and it's not just so much with the lazy load, but it compresses the images. So this has obvious benefits. Where you have an image that is maybe 2 megabytes in size, the browser's going to have to load that. That's going to take time to download, obviously, to the user's screen, whether that's a desktop, tablet, phone, whatever. But if we can reduce the size of the image, we can then speed up the download time for the site. Now, I'm seeing just that you have multiple WordPress optimization plugins installed. So some of them do cause issues where they overlap, but whichever one you choose, I'm just sort of highlighting them all just so that you can see how they work. Smush is probably one of the better ones. Let's skip this, because it was one of the first. Let's check the images. Okay, so what it does, it looks at the image, and it has an algorithm that reduces the size of the image without reducing the quality. There's an algorithm that allows it to do that. I don't know exactly how it works, but this is a pretty good one. You can't bulk Smush, because again, they like to make money. So you can see that there's a deal on offer there. You can do a certain number at a time, but again, it's a good one to have. Next up, looking at these, there's one that was connected. I think it was through. So I think it was through the theme that I was using. Yes, sorry, bright settings, install plugins, that's it. So this is, these are two that they recommend. Okay, Calibri Page Builder, going to work similar to the WP Bakery that I showed you, and probably similar to the drag dropper, but you can bulk action and install and let that do what it does, which should, there we go, that's it. That's them installed, so we need to just go back and activate. And then when this is activated, we'll go and show you what they do very quickly. Because this is us at the end, near enough the end of what we're doing. Yeah, so here's a few others that it recommends. It's entirely up to you which you install. I have had a look at them. Some of them are better than others, but a lot of them are, well, first of all, Hummingbird's sort of repeating what we've talked about with other plugins. So if you've went with some of the other, it's not necessary to install these. Okay, these are recommended, but not essential to the overall theme working. Hustle is email marketing lead generation. You could install that, but I would say if you're looking at email marketing, MailChimp is the one to install it. So it's much better as a platform. But again, like I said, not imperative, but something that you could include and then talk about in your assignment in terms of how the company is going to market to particular jobs to their clients and to get people interested in different jobs. MailChimp has a really big platform that's really simple to use in terms of email marketing, but like I said, they're not essential for the theme to run. Defender security, we've already got security, so again, I don't really need to worry or talk too much about that because we've already covered the actual topic, but you can look into these yourself and look at which you want to use, which you want to talk about. The last thing that I want to show you again, which I may have mentioned before, really can't remember, is our two sites rather. One is called Pexels and the other one is called Unsplash. And they are royalty-free images. So they give you stock images. So this is something that you're going to need for your site in terms of images and things to make it a wee bit more interesting than just text. Okay, you can see there's one there. It's not really, if we're thinking about an IT company advertising for jobs, it's not really, appropriate, but still a good image, and it's a good way to sort of set up a page that you could have. Let's say a yes meeting. You could have any one of these pictures. We'll maybe just change the orientation to horizontal. That will make them the right orientation for us. But these are all free images. So if so you can download that for free. There's no issue with what's the word? No issue with copyright, and you can use these as many times as you want across your website, and then that will make things a lot nicer. I think there's one thing I actually saw. Sorry, bright settings. I think it was. Just while you're here, try and stay away from the theme editor. Okay, that's where things can get broken really, really badly. It's actually the first time I've seen it there in a while. But you can, in terms of what we're looking at, this is the CSS code, which will tell us, in terms of different parts of the site, what rules they're going to follow, what they're going to do. So in terms of the bright theme body, so in terms of this, it's telling us that this section here is going to be white. So you can see there. So from memory, if I update this, may work. No, it didn't work at all. Something else happened. But at any rate, we don't want to play around with this unless you really know what you're doing. And I don't even like playing around with it, and I do know what I'm doing. So please take that with the recommendation that I'm giving it. Demo site, there was, yes, this wasn't what I was looking at earlier, but yeah, not about that. So sometimes you get these sort of demo sites that will probably change. Will change what our site looks like, but it can work as a way to build a site very quickly and then amend and edit the content to be what you want it to say. So it can take a few minutes. I really don't want it to, but it's doing something else now. But this should take us, I think, away. Yeah, so this is taking us to Calibri, wp.com. So this is what the site will look like when it loads across to here. But you can see in terms of being a business site, it's got the dummy text there, which just is placeholder text for you to delete. But you can see in terms of the layout very quickly how that would look quite professional for your site. And then obviously putting in your own logo there. That could work quite nicely. It's not found, so I don't know, that's no big deal. But you can see exactly what we're getting at, and you can see how that even in terms of if you like the look of this, I have taken sites similar to this and used the layout, and you could build this very easily using this page builder drag and drop element. Okay, that's 3 images. That's like a simple table layout with images. We've got different headings. You can see how the layout can be broken down into parts, and then you can build that back up. And that is an absolute great skill to have, because you're taking something which looks great. Okay, you can see the space, you can see the layout and how it's giving a nice amount of white space in the template, and drawing your attention to all the different bits of information that you want to see. But you can also see how it works as a business site. But building this up wouldn't be difficult at all using this page builder system. But folks, that is everything that I want to cover to date in terms of our WordPress platform, what we've got so far. I'm going to put this list up on Google Classroom. So while you're maybe looking at it on the video, you can see just obviously what I've done. It's your first name, surname, no spaces, .schoolofcomputing.co.uk. If we just click on Jake's, there you go. They're all going to be the same. Declan. The only difference is the name, because it's working off the same theme. So you can see exactly what we're working for there. Your password are all the same, the password 2021, but I'm going to change that. No, I'm not. You're going to change that immediately because it's not a secure password, and I've also just put it on this video. So you need to change that. That's one of the first things that you should do. And I think that is somewhere. Edit profile. I've never changed my password, which I know sounds bad, but when your password's really good to begin with, it doesn't matter. But this isn't now working. So now that's interesting. I've never changed my password. Tools. Users. Yes, I think it's here. It's where we were. Yes, so you can change it. Yeah, so you can change your name if you wish. New password. There we are. So set new password. So that's obviously just creating one, which is not going to be easy to remember. But that is where you're going to need to go. First of all, we should have maybe had that at the very beginning, just to have you change your password. But that should be something you do right now in terms of just making it secure and changing it to what you want it to be, which should not be another password that you use elsewhere. Okay. But folks, that's everything. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. I know that there's been a lot in it, but I wanted to put it as a video so that you could stop and start it and work your way through it, and at the same time see the hands-on way of building the site, and in terms of everything we're doing, if you're going through a lot of those plugins and setting them up, that is building your site at the back end to make it more secure from attack, and certainly a good way to build your site. But what you will not have seen at any point, it was really any sort of work within the actual pages. Oh, I have no pages. The settings, I've deleted them. Yeah. So just be careful about doing that. As you can see, I've just deleted the work I did earlier, which admittedly was no more than creating a couple of pages and the menu, but could be an issue, obviously, if you've done more than that. But folks, that's everything. Any questions from this? Yeah, put them in Google Classroom. Ask me directly. I'll be happy to help. Hopefully, and I say this with everything crossed, hopefully we will be able to do a lot of this in school, just with respect to C2K. But I've been doing this at home, which is why everything has worked pretty straightforward apart from that import. But as you can see, everything has installed as I've wanted it to, and been fairly quick. But as you can see, these are all things that I would need to deal with. So this is where the tutorial is going to take a wee bit longer for you to actually work through. And if questions do come up from that, then do ask, because a lot of these I use for my own sites and rely on for my own sites. So I'm happy to A, recommend them, but B, be able to give you a bit of helpful advice and direction in getting it set up. Well, folks, that's everything. Thank you very much, and we'll speak soon.